And we're good with this. We'll make no selection of booze. That's cool. Got it. Right. Fixed. Great. So join us as they do. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the agenda. Share screen. Is it even opening any of these tabs? Sure isn't. Open the agenda in a tab, and then I can open it on the screen. All right.
So cold.
So here is this evening's agenda. I'm gonna go ahead and call the May meeting of the Foster Youth Council to order at 6:06. We'll start with welcome and introductions, and then if there are any issues of concern for caregivers. And then we'll get our updates from PUSD, as we usually do. We did also see that current suspension data was posted, so I wanted to take a minute and look at that. And this is also Brian. Look at that. It's going to stand in for our LCAP update. And we have a paper copy of a new draft, but I'll share that on the screen when we get to it. And then I wanted to review the meeting calendar looking ahead to next year. And then we'll just do our usual announcements routine at the end. So let's start with introductions. And I'll go ahead and start. I'm Lily Bartenstein. I am a parent of an 11th grader at PHS and also a member of the LCAP PAC. Let's go around the room and then we can do our people joining virtually. So do you want to start over there, Sierra?
Hi, I'm Sierra Jaswick, and I'm one of the program directors with the Children, Youth, and Family Collaborative, CYFC.
Thank you for being here, Sierra. Brian?
I'm Brian Stanley. I oversee child welfare and attendance and youth and foster care in the Pass Unified School District. I also shared with you the updated LCAP from Dr. Hernandez that
Thank
that
you.
are out there. So you can put on the screen.
Amazing. Thank you. Great.
Everybody, Jeff Albert with Collaborate Pasadena.
And then on Zoom, Eric?
Good afternoon, Eric Trejo, Special Education Coordinator representing the SPED department today.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Jasmine?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jasmine, and I am from Family and Community Engagement.
Awesome. And Ruth Ann?
Hi, I'm Ruth Anna All, retired PUSD advocate for foster youth and special ed. Good to see everybody.
Hi, Ruth Ann. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So that was quick. I don't know that there are any caregivers other than me on the call. Has anybody heard any issues of concern from caregivers for this meeting? Okay. You're up, Mr. Stanley.
Oh, snap.
Skip to the fun part, updates.
All right. Well, first of all, so I don't know if we discussed this at the last meeting, but the board did approve bringing back 2 positions. So, we know that, previously we had some reorganizing to do within the foster care team. So, we let go of a foster youth counselor, foster youth community liaison, and then 3 early interventionists. So right now we've have board approved a student services transition technician who will focus on pretty much foster youth as well as homeless students. So their role will be more of a central role in terms of handling the best interest determinations, setting up transportation for students, and all the internal things that we handle here in the district before a student enters a school. So that's number one, and then we have approved at least one foster youth specialist right now. That will be able to be at the school sites working with students, primarily focused on secondary right now. And then working with our partners such as CYFC, as well as LACO to coordinate services at the site level for students. So that's what we have in place right now. We also have applied for, we have grant applications out there right now that we're waiting back on, and we fully, we're hopeful and fully expect to receive grants to bring on additional staff members for the next year. I think the priority for sure would be high school foster youth counselor, because it's a very important position to have at the school sites to ensure that students have access to AB 216 when they qualify, as well as various things that they work on, such as chronic absenteeism and attendance and things like that. So that's where we're at right now. We've also worked because right now the school sites are developing their school plans for the next school year. So in those plans, they are setting goals for foster youth, for attendance, for chronic absenteeism. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time talking this.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
Okay, good. I feel like I'm stuttering. Okay.
Yeah.
As well as graduation. So, for especially the secondary schools, they will be setting goals in their school plans for those three areas, as well as identifying a counseling staff on site that will oversee the foster youth at their schools. So that's the plan so far. And I know we're going to talk about it, but we currently our foster youth suspensions are there's some adjustments based on when the reports are ran. But currently 16%. But when I look at last year's dashboard, we're at 19.4%, and then 22 at 21%. So we're making some progress there. Not as much as we want. Chronic absenteeism, we're 38.25%. Last year's dashboard, we're at 50.8%, and then 21-22, we're at 54.1%. So and I do want to recognize that we're moving, the needle. And although there are lots of issues to address, and for sure, but I think it's important to recognize that we are making impact in those areas.
We can continue without the
Absolutely.
staff we've been throwing at it for the last
Yes.
couple of years.
And this is Foster Youth Awareness Month, and I want to thank Lily here for presenting that at the Board of Education meeting in April, as well as myself. And where students are receiving gift bags and different for elementary and secondary, and personalized cards as well. There's been some field trips this month to I know one was at the arts and the arts district in Los Angeles. Another one was at the Vital Reality Conference focused on financial literacy at LACO. But also just want to recognize, as we bring this year to a close, the exceptional work of our team and our partners. I'm very proud of this team. This team shows up every day and are very caring and intentional about what they do, the work that they do with our students. And I know it's hard for them that they will not be back, that they for now. And I know it's hit them hard, but I do, as this year comes to a close, I just want to say how proud I am of this team and of our partners who have joined us and supporting this very deserving group of students. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Ruth Ann?
Yeah, I really am speechless. Thank you, Mr. Stanley or Dr. Stanley, for the update. But, having been in the district for 20 years and attending board meetings and advocacy for special ed, and as I retired foster youth, I'm just gobsmacked that, this continues to happen, and possibly I don't understand. You know, it is your team who has made such incredible inroads, and now they're gone. And is that a result of the March 15th? You have to let them go and then dangle them by a string and then pull them back in, you know, when the budget comes back in. And, you know, we've gotten smacked in the face previously when that has happened with, you know, some superior PALS teachers who were the last ones in and the first ones out, and then got jobs over the summer because they have to work.
Mhm.
So, you know, I'm incredibly excited about Dr. Blanco taking over the superintendent's position with the history that she has with both the district and special ed. But I'm telling you, it just makes my heart sick, sick, sick.
It does, and that feeling is shared for sure. But to answer your question, there were some very tough decisions that had to be made. Cuts did have to happen this year. It was the desire of our leadership that the cuts happen at the central office as opposed to the school sites, which is why the departments here in the district office have shared in the hit that we took. It's been hard, but I can just say that we've done this before, and we adjust and we keep moving forward, and we will do that. It will look different, but I've done this many times.
Yeah, but you're having to reinvent the wheel every time. And, you know, with our kids, their names, they're not numbers. And,
Right.
you know, the fact that you can say we've done it many times, just, you know, it's like ripping your guts out. And foster youth is not a subgroup of students to be ripping your hearts out. They have
Right.
issues that you and I cannot even imagine in their lives on a daily basis. And now to lose key counselors, aides, you know, whatever their job class was, it's just unconscionable. And, you know, we can win, we as a district, I still call myself we, I still feel a part of it, but we as a district can continue to rank, you know, great schools and, you know, grants and la, la, la. But we need the people in the positions to guide, nurture, encourage, and direct our kids and often even our parents. And as administrators, I would suggest that that is something that needs to be done. And, you know, I honor you as being the spokesperson at the table for this dialogue. But, you know, I'm telling you, I've gone back to Percy Clark in the district at board meetings, 1 o'clock in the morning. I was the only woman in the audience, and it's been stuff, like you say, it's been done and done and redone and overdone. And where does it get us? No place. If we don't have the people in the positions that need to be there for our students. And maybe now they're not there because the students are gone. They're going to be leaving. So, you know, you have that gap, but then are you going to be able to plug in the same people in July when the budget comes back so that they don't have to get new ground up and running and relearn what their positions are with new kids? I just have no good words. I'm sorry. It's, you know, this maybe was not the meeting to attend, but I'm glad I'm there.
I'm glad to hear.
We have some good stuff later, Ruth Ann.
Yeah.
We have some good stuff in our LCAP plan this time. I think is gonna be helpful.
That's 3 to 5 years, you know, and that.
I know.
That should have been, could have been, would have been, but it hasn't been. And
Yep.
you're a most courageous woman in our presence. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. Were there any other questions from anybody about our current youth and foster care team update? I think so. We good? I don't have pals right now. I'm not sure if Jamie's able to make it tonight. But Sarah, if you want to help us out with a CYFC update, that would be awesome.
Yes, actually, so I will be distributing some grad shirts for the graduates Monday and Tuesday. Yes, so I'm just waiting for the gift bags to come. So I did get Jack is the new person on board for the PUSD, and so he's doing a phenomenal job. He's one of our yeses located at John Muir, Rose City here, and Pasadena High. And so we look forward to getting a chance to meet the graduates and to provide them their gift and wish them well. So that's our latest update as of right now. And of course, with everything else, we're just growing forward. So.
Thank you.
Great. And then are we at the same sites with CYFC for next year, or do we have a sense of what the next year projection plan will be?
As of right now, that's the 3 locations. If any more are presented, then certainly Dr. Lydia may very well be open to that. So it's just a matter, of course, of budget or
See where everything fits.
Yeah, exactly. So but certainly, yes, if we were able to branch out, that would be awesome. The more kids we can reach, the better.
Great. Cool. And then Eric, do you have an update for us from special ed?
I actually have a little bit. I have a little bit from PALS if you guys want to hear it.
Oh, great.
So
Awesome.
PALS had a spring event a couple weeks ago. It went fairly well. What you call it? What it was called the Spring Festival. It was a pretty good turnout. Based on our numbers for next year, the program is almost going to double in terms of how many students are going to be coming to the PALS program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're not.
How many students will that be?
So I think
approximately?
I think 5 to 7 are leaving the program depending on their birthday, and then we're gaining on about 40.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, from the special education perspective, I don't know if you guys know, but we lost our current director. She's no longer with us. So the district will be looking out for or searching for a new director. We are expecting to have one by the beginning of next academic year. Summer school or extended school year will begin June 6th and is going to run all the way to July 12th. Other than that, we are also lost 1 coordinator, so we're short 1 coordinator and 1 director. And that's really all I have from our department.
Yes, Judy?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Question. I know that there have been kids who have not had ESY on their IEPs. I think it's important to make sure that the foster kids all have ESY on their IEPs because it's an important issue for them for the summer. So if you can take that back and make sure that's happening, that would be wonderful. Eric, that was for Eric.
Yeah, so as you know, Judy, extended school year is for students that qualify for an IEP. So if we have students that are not in an IEP, it is very unlikely that they'll be accepted to the extended school year. We sure look at the students with an IEP, and we make sure that if they are in need of that extra support for those 22 days, we make sure that they are enrolled into our program.
All right, let's just make sure that the kids that should be getting ESY are actually getting ESY, because
Absolutely, yes.
I've had conversations with Pasadena kids that should have been having ESY and they did not have ESY on their IEPs. So just take that message back. This isn't directed at you. You know that.
Right.
Absolutely. No, I think we're on the same page.
And then we also have summer school credit recovery, right? That's like a
Yeah.
separate box.
It is.
And we're working hopefully to make sure that our foster youth who need that are also being enrolled expediently in that pathway. Great. All kinds of fun summer school for everyone. You just think the school year's ending, but not for everyone.
And
Great. Let's see. Any other questions around special ed? For this meeting?
I think the only comment I have is, like, I do want to work with special ed to identify, representative that'll be working with the foster care team moving forward. I think it's important to have that collaboration. And I thank Eric or Mr. Trejo for joining our Alliance for Children's Rights meetings. And working through some of the issues that we were kind of trying to improve. One being immediate enrollment, which
Yes.
has been difficult one to tackle in some of these cases, but I just will say that if we can continue to identify that person moving forward. I say that because I know we have changes in leadership. So there's one thing that I was working with Alma on, was making sure that we really have one person that we are coordinating with that can.
Do
So we're
this
not
stuff,
getting a
yeah.
different person every time, but it's just really one person that we're connecting with, so that's my only feedback.
Ooh, keep asking for that, because we have asked for that as well. Just because of it would just be amazing and helpful to have someone who really understands all of this transfer IEP stuff that happens and can help with quality control from the SACE side. So I know that when my kid entered the district, our first IEP meeting was based on 2 or 3 IEPs ago, because the IEP that I sent didn't get updated into the, like, it was messy. So, and it wasn't something I could identify as a parent. So it's helpful to just have eyes that are really looking for that as that transition process comes in. All right, what is next? Oh yeah, let's look at the current year suspension data. And I can pull that up, I think. Let me open another recent file. Pull it up on the screen. So this was in a Friday, the version I have at least was in a Friday communique a couple weeks ago. I'll screen share that. So we go. Note to staff, these links are not available to the public yet. We can spread that around and get those so that they can be clickable. They come up as a request permission still.
Okay. It's open to QSD.
That could be it.
Which,
Yeah. That could be it. The public. Oh, the public. So we have a bunch. I'm gonna try and zoom in on this box enough that we can maybe see it a little better on the screen. That's helpful. So let's just skip into suspension data because that was the one I wanted to look at. Our overall suspension rate, and this is down too, correct? Brian?
What's that? I'm sorry.
The overall suspension rate, it's down at least 0.5 percentage point since last year, I think, if I
Oh, yeah,
remember right.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
down too. All of them are down. We're down pretty significantly, as of whenever this ran in end of March, I think, beginning of April. So that's all good news.
So like I said, yeah, I mean, that number does fluctuate.
It moves
month by
around
month.
and we have such a small sample size
Yeah.
that we are very
Currently,
susceptible.
it's a little higher than that, but based on
Yeah.
last year's dashboard, it was 19.4%. So,
Mhm.
you know,
That's a
it's
good-
improved.
Improvement at least,
And the prior year before that was 21%.
right? Yeah, so that's good to be moving in the right direction. And we will still have alternative suspension next year.
Yes.
Yes, great. So our summary, I mean, it seems like middle school is the struggle, as you look through this, and we can't really see it that well on the screen. But I'm gonna scroll down to the,
Can you scroll back up real quick?
yes,
If you scroll up to the suspensions by incident,
yes.
back up,
Back up.
right there. Oh, down, right there.
Yes,
So that really tells you like where the, I'm having a hard time seeing myself.
I know, reasons. Is that
Yeah.
the,
So I mean, the number one, the fights are.
yes,
Yes,
that's how you get suspended, man.
yes.
Go start a fight.
That and you know, we do have,
What does discipline notes mean? That was one I didn't know.
so sometimes, and you know, working with sites on this because it does have to be cleaned up, but this is not just, this counts in school suspensions as well as out of school suspensions. So
okay.
sometimes a student is sent out of class,
Got it.
which would be like a classroom referral. And
Got
so
it.
that when that gets entered into Aries, that gets picked up because they're out of class, and it might be for the period or whatever it may be,
Mhm.
that gets picked up as a classroom suspension, which comes up on this report.
Got
So
it.
discipline
Okay.
notes is typically, I'd say all the time is from a classroom referral
So it's
that's not tied to, let's say, a fight or anything like that, so,
got it. So it's like an office referral, but
Yeah.
escalated to
yes.
to arrive in this system. Got it. Okay. Cool. That is helpful to understand. Because then there's also classroom suspension is here in the next box. Cool, okay, and that is a close number to our discipline notes category. And then this is suspensions by school sites. Which Marshall, is that including middle and high school students? So that's
That's
why
correct,
those numbers are gonna look a little bit more,
yes.
yeah. Cause our middle school suspension rate is higher than our high school suspension rate right now. Similar number, this is the breakdown, and then our high school. Which probably again is a little bit of a proportional thing in terms of why it looks like there's more at Pasadena than Mira, for example, because there are more students at
Yes.
Pasadena than Mira.
Well, there's the care program, I mean, I don't know, it
Yes.
depends.
And there's the care program
Yeah.
at Pasadena, which is where we place our challenging behavior students.
Is that for Marshall, is that middle school and high school, or
Yeah.
is that separate?
This is high school, so
Oh, it's just, okay.
that's that's the
I know
high
it's
school
but I couldn't-
box. I know, there's many boxes. Many boxes, okay. And then these are sort of our rates by school level. Broken out in that way and compared to population, and then most of our students are suspended once and then not again, which is a good and a typical thing. There are only a few of them that get suspended 8 or 9 times, which that's a rough situation. And this is still our slightly disproportionate situation for our Black students, which we expect, but it's less than it was, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And then our special education students. Getting close to the foster youth. They're down here after the English learners. There we go. So that's our foster youth data, which is a lower number than last year, but I don't remember completely all of it.
So last year, there was a total of 121 suspensions for foster youth, so a little bit lower this year.
Mhm. What does null start mean? In this column, the center column?
I have to look into that, I'm not.
It's a good question, huh? In between yes and no.
Yeah.
It is a mystery category. Yeah. I know that one of the things that that I've heard from Vanessa at 5 Acres is that there are times when they want to make sure the first day of the suspension is counted appropriately when a child is sent home early and all of that kind of stuff. And also to make sure that when they send kids home, those are actually being counted as suspensions if they are being sent home.
Right, so I think, oftentimes as a student, when they are suspended, that they're sent home that day, but then they won't count the suspension until.
It starts the next
school day, which is
day.
a very old practice,
Yes, yes, because nobody wants these numbers to get bigger.
but yeah, but it should be like the rule of thumb is if it's, especially if it occurs in the
Before
morning.
noon,
Before noon, yeah, so
then it counts as your first day.
if they're sent home, that's day one.
Yeah.
The other thing is that for sites that alternative suspension, if they
Mhm.
utilize alternative suspension, it should not be sent home that day, then go to ATS another day, right? So
Are they able to transfer to ATS that day or not
they
right
would,
now?
it would be on the school site to figure something out for that
Got
day,
it, got it,
and then, so they're not sent home.
got it. So they would do some sort of an in-school
Right.
thing for the rest of that school day, and then they'd move them to the alternative to suspension.
So working with school sites, that's still something that, is popping up now and then that have to keep going back to the school sites and
Yeah.
correcting, but Vanessa's very much right, yeah, it's been a challenge.
And then she was also talking, and I know we talked about it a couple meetings ago about transportation. And I don't know. For I guess my question about transportation would be for students with IEPs who have transportation on their IEPs. Does that extend to alternative to suspension or not so much? Like, do they receive special education transportation to that alternate?
So it's something that we're working on, like for Hopskip Drive, for example, they need 2 days notice. So it's a little difficult when we're
That
going
is really
to
tricky,
a different program the next day
right?
to arrange that transportation, so it's. The answer to your question is yes, there should be transportation,
But we
but
don't
in
have
practice,
a
it's
system
it's
that
difficult to,
solves it yet.
yeah, right, so
Okay.
it's something that we're still working through. But it's a very good question, a very good point that we should. If we're going to an alternative school site for a couple days, then there needs to be transportation arranged, and unfortunately just don't have a solution to that at this moment.
No central office taxi to just send.
Possibility.
I want a taxi driver. And then I think there was also some information about the alternative to suspension as well.
I think it's the last page.
It's the last, yeah, who is using it? And I think that was information I was looking to see last year, so that's also helpful because those are school days that are recovered and not do not become suspensions, which is good. That's to see.
So yeah, we've met with some of these school sites and really have done a deep dive, a data dive on suspension and just looking at it from different angles. So Miller High School is one school I met with last year,
Mm-hmm,
and I've really made a big turnaround in their suspension numbers this year.
mm-hmm,
Marshall Fundamental, we did meet with earlier was before we went on a winter break. And there you can see that their use
yeah.
since
But
then
they've
has gone way
been
up.
much-
So
Much more implemented after Christmas, that's great. Great, cool. Okay. Any other questions on this? Anyone else? Okay. The LCAP is next, and it says Robert Hernandez, and then it says David Rainey, but it's gonna be Brian.
all right.
Back for more. Let me switch tabs. Okay, so this is goal 6, which is the focus goal for our foster youth.
Well, I'm gonna start with the recommendations that came from the Foster Youth Advisory Council for LCAP. So there was that happened here. I think there were so we had 7 recommendations for the 24-25 LCAP. So so one was to utilize the district foster youth website pages as a hub for up-to-date information and contact information for district and site level staff or partner organizations and programs for foster youth. So that is, as I mentioned earlier, like as we've reorganized for next year, that will be a staff member that occupies that position here in the central office. That will be their duty, is to maintain that website.
Great.
We'll be working over the summer to update. I know that the website right now needs a lot of work. So as the school year comes to a close and we move into summer, that will be a project for a few of the staff members until they go on break for summer. And then coming back, there will be a position where that person that occupies that position, that will be their responsibility
Great.
to keep the webpage up to date. So
And do you there are a couple of pages from the Alliance for Children's Rights District Best Practice Guide that are specific about the website. You have those, or do you want me to share those with you?
no, I haven't.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yeah, those are good. A good resource.
And so one was to work with the Alliance for Children's Rights Office of Enrollment. I'm sorry. To clarify the enrollment process for foster youth, to track and measure time to enrollment as a metric. So that actually has been added as an action item in the
So if you
LCAP.
look at the second page. It's not a metric yet, but I'll mishmash on that later. But that is now action 5 will be support for enrollment services specifically.
Right, so we are working with Alliance for Children's Rights, as I just said a minute ago. So Mr. Trejo has been coming to these meetings as well as Office of Enrollment. And the representative from triage, and we're working through that now because we, two things, we have 2 different enrollment processes for foster youth, and we need to really look at that and see how we can ensure immediate enrollment for all students. Especially in triage, where sometimes students are waiting up to a week to come do a triage, and then oftentimes we can't find immediate placement there. We've found situations where weeks have gone by and not enrolled. So we've come up with a short-term plan to address that now. But for long-term planning, we are this is a
project.
This is a project.
It's a project.
That has been written into the plan.
Great.
So one was ensure contact information for adults on child's professional team is complete in areas to facilitate site level communication and coordination with services. And again, that will be the responsibility of the person that fills the central office spot to, as part of the enrollment process.
Great.
One was partner with outside organizations to provide academic supports and calculate credits earned out of possible credits as a measure of implementation. So I believe that has also been, let's
Yes,
see,
that is our 6.4 is academic and graduation supports.
yes,
Great.
so that's been included as well. Facilitate transportation to improve accessibility and utilization of alternative to suspension program. Again, that's,
It's a project.
yes, we have to solve this 2-day notice
Yeah.
for Hopskip Drive, so that's what we're working through right now.
And there's also transportation is also listed in the LCAP in 6.1, but is that primarily school of origin based transportation services? Like, is that what that action 6.1? My understanding was that's an MOU with DCFS in the past. And that was all that was covered in that transportation category, because a lot of our school to home transportation is absorbed in special ed through students' IEPs.
Right,
And then I think from what I understand, any transportation that like the after school transportation, is that part of? I don't know where that is funded from.
that's a good question, because I know that we submit, we have an MOU with Hopskip Drive and we actually with LA County, but we've actually just put in 600,000 for that just recently, so I know,
Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
don't know why that, I believe that's coming out of 6.1, but I'd have to check on that.
Yeah, because in the past, 6.1 was just $65,000
Okay,
and it didn't get spent. Like when you would look at the budget updates, it didn't get spent. I was curious.
so I am taking notes for Dr. Hernandez right now, and I'll
Yes,
share this with
This
you.
is a good mystery.
With the question and the answer.
Thank you.
Okay?
Because I also know we haven't listed funding, but the question really is what types of transportation does that cover? And then where additional transportation, because we want to ensure that we can continue not only with the school of origin transportation, but also the extracurricular transportation that we know we have now, and make sure that that's represented.
I will
Sorry,
take
Rob.
notes and share this with Dr. Hernandez and as well as you, and we'll get good answers.
We'll find out. There's always more feedback, you know? Okay, I was gonna let you can keep going if there were other things.
Okay, well,
Cause I just interrupted you to ask questions about transportation.
Last recommendation was assigning a special education coordinator to support IEPs and
Yes.
expedite enrollment and placement, so that's I'm hoping that is Mr. Trejo, I just wanna say that. But
We'll see.
yes, okay,
We'll see in the next round of special ed shuffle, where
yes,
everyone lands in the musical chairs of the coordinators. Okay, awesome.
so moving on, so Dr. Hernandez just did want to state that since the May 9th QSD Board of Education meeting, the following modifications have been included, so the goal has been categorized as a focused goal with the following targets. By 2027, foster youth and homeless students will increase at least one performance level within English language arts and mathematics as measured by CASP.
Okay,
By 2027, foster youth students' graduation rate will increase at least one performance level and attain a graduation rate of 68% or greater. Homeless student graduation rate will maintain or increase one performance level and attain a graduation rate of 95% or higher.
I have a question.
Yes,
4-year or 5-year graduation rate?
those are different numbers, right?
They sure are, and 5-year hasn't been listed in this
Yeah.
goal, which is bananas to me because
To me,
of.
It's been bananas to me.
It's bananas to me because of, especially because of the laws that allow our students that additional year. It seems like 5-year graduation rate would be,
Typically on the dashboard, it's the 4-year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
focusable. I'll give that feedback other places too.
Yeah. Where was that? Okay,
Mhm.
and then, so the goal focused on increasing CAS, math, and ELA performance as well as graduation rate for youth in foster care. These targets were developed based off the California Schools Dashboard Report with the goal of increasing performance as well as improving performance level over the next 3 years. So an action has been added for academic and graduation supports for youth in foster care that addresses the need for enhanced supplemental academic support and opportunities for students to gain credit towards graduation. As well as we talked about, enhanced enrollment services has been added to address the need for improved enrollment procedures and services to students and families as they enter the districts.
Great.
So, taking notes on the 4 or 5-year graduation rate. I believe that's 4.
It's 4 is what's listed and what was in there before, but. I have feelings about that.
I do.
I have feedback about that. Yes, Judy?
Am I correct that the district is no longer being penalized for kids that take a 5th year, 5 years to graduate? That was an issue not too long ago, and I thought that got resolved, that the district wouldn't be penalized for students that take 5 years to graduate. Nobody
So my
knows it.
understanding is that there are 2 different graduation rates that are looked at. There's the 4-year as well as the 5-year rate. I was just a continuation high school principal 6 months ago. I can tell you, a lot of our students did take 5 years to graduate, but we were still held to the 4-year graduation rate. So if that's been changed, I am unaware at this point. But I know that we look at both rates internally, but on the dashboard, it is
4-year.
the 4-year rate.
Right. I have a sort of tangential question, which is with our foster youth who are taking advantage of, I don't remember if it's 167 or 216, that allows them to take that 5th year in order to be more college ready, right? That they could have graduated, but they also can decide to take that
Yes.
year in order to be fully educated. Are those students allowed to stay in their same high schools, or do they have to move for their 5th year someplace else? Do you know?
Students are entitled to stay for 5 years. We cannot force a student to graduate under AB 216.
Right,
That is an option. So if they choose to stay a 5th year, they are entitled to stay
at the same school. where
at the
they've
same
been.
school.
Okay.
Yes.
Cause I remember hearing last year in with the International Academy students that they wouldn't be able to graduate from Blair if they didn't do it in 4, and so I was curious if that's. Or if that is a difference.
So we did go back and change board policy about that because as we came out of COVID, we were running into a lot of that.
More of that than we had,
Yes, so
okay,
I believe it was going back, so I was part of that.
yes, that whole shuffle, I'm sure too, yeah.
I wanna say that was 21-22. We did update board policy to
Okay.
include that 5th year for foster youth for.
So they can stay at the same school. to do that.
Stay at the same school. The other problem that we had honestly was that even students who qualified for AB 216,
Mhm.
if they did not graduate within 4 years, that went
Yeah.
away. And then for that 5th year, they were held for the 220.
Oh.
So we did
right.
update board policy then to make
Got
that
it.
5th year, so they're eligible for AB 216 for that 5th year as
Right.
well.
So that they're able to just complete those the state required
Yes.
credits for graduation. Got it.
Yes.
Cool. Trying to think if I have any other questions right now. I don't think so. Anybody else have other questions?
What's next on the agenda?
Next on the agenda is next year's meeting calendar.
Oh. I couldn't figure out getting the agenda. So I'm sorry, I was pretty lame.
Okay, I can put it in the chat for you, Judy, if that's helpful.
Okay,
Yep, 1 second, we'll do that. I have powers of computer. Right. Computer. Agenda.
Lily, I'm okay as long as you just say what the next thing on the agenda is.
Okay. I got it now. I'm back. I got it. So our next item is, I'll go ahead and switch tabs to that now. Our next item is our schedule for next year. Which means I need a different tab, which has that open in it. So for the time being, I went ahead and I put together based on how this year went, and to continue the same alternating meeting cycle for next year. And then also some of the things that we know are gonna come up on our calendar, I went ahead and to help my future self outlined what stuff we might want to talk about so that I can go ahead and prepare agendas before we get into the middle of it. So what I'm proposing would be to continue virtual meetings on Tuesday mornings at 11. And this is again our second Tuesday, whatever it is today. And then in the evenings on alternating months at 6 p.m. In order to make sure that we're accessible both to all of our fabulous staff who might be able to join us during the workday and also our community partners who are at work during this that scheduled time, and then also any parents who may be working during the day. So that was the intention there that we tried this year, and it's been, you know, different depending on the month who has been able to join us, but I think I will continue in that pattern pending approval of this group. And then I built out a calendar where, so August 13th is before school starts, which is what happened this year as well. So that will probably be a shorter meeting, although I would love to try to have people join and become officers of this council. We'll see what happens. And then hopefully we'll have an update on the work of the summer in terms of the enrollment process plan from Mr. Stanley. And then once we're a little bit more on our feet in September, I'd love to get our partners, CYFC and LACO, to join us for our morning meeting to talk about what they're doing and where they are. And also to get an update on the surrogate parent process, which is another project that I know Mr. Stanley is working on with special education, in terms of making sure that we've developed a list of people who are ready to step into that role, and also have a process to make sure that those assignments happen for all of our foster youth, not just the ones who already have IEPs, the ones who don't may need assessed, and then they would need someone to be the person to say, you must assess. So that's a project that I know is also on the docket for the next couple of months. And then September is FASD Awareness Month, so I will talk about that as I usually do in September. October, I wanted to do something on the school discipline rights. And I'm placing that in an evening meeting so that we can talk about it in advance and invite parents and educational rights holders to join us for that conversation. So there will be a little bit of an educational component. I know we used to have trainings and we are no longer in that partnership, but I think that that can still be something we can do, and or maybe something that I can work with Brian on connecting with. I know that LACO has a lot of great parent trainings too, so we may be able to talk with them about whether they might be able to come and do something with us too. And then in October is usually when the governor is deciding to sign or not to sign, and so if we want to send letters to people, there will be an update about what things he's signing and what we want him to sign, usually in October. In November, in the morning, I want to invite our STRTP partners to join us and talk about how things are going from their perspective. Vanessa's been amazing, but I want to, you know, pull in some of our other partners at the STRTP. So that would be my goal for our November meeting. We do not meet in December. In January, I would love to do a transition planning conversation, because I know there are so many opportunities that are hard to pull to the threads together, and I also know that that's something where we can be really valuable, I think, to our kinship parents who may not be as intricately entwined in DCFS's support for transition services. So that was something that I wanted to talk about more specifically, and maybe invite the Department of Rehab to come and speak with us about their supports for our kids with IEPs. So that could be a January project. And that's again in an evening meeting to be more accessible to parents and caregivers. And then the February meeting, just a conversation about special education and special education process, because historically that's been one of the sort of needs and needs for education with our caregivers, especially if you like are landed with a kid that hasn't been with you for a long time. How do we help support them and then connect them? And depending on who the CAC board is, maybe someone from them will show up. It's hard to say. We'll see what happens. Pending the future. And then in March, the March through May cycle will be similar to this year, where we look at the LCAP consultation, we look at budget priority advocacy in March. We take a look at what we would be recommending, and also the LCAP process, sort of depending on how that shakes out next year. So that is my proposal for a year of meetings with agenda items prepared. To save myself, what am I putting on the agenda this month? Yeah, because otherwise there's a day when that happens every time, where I'm just like, oh my gosh, I haven't, when the 72 hours starts when.
Well, it's very well thought out, thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
Yes, I know that's 72.
Right, I'm like, oh right, I have a meeting of the government. I forgot. Cool. I think we have a quorum, because I have Ruth Ann and Judy and me, and Jeff is on the committee now. So if someone wants to make a motion,
I'll move.
thank you. And Ruth Ann will second. Great. All in favor?
Hi.
A calendar. Calendar is approved. Great, thank you. An action has happened. How rare in these informational meetings. An action, a calendar is approved. Fantastic, I love it. Okay, back to agenda. Incorrect, committee updates. Another favorite, so, oh, Letty's here too, hi Letty. Do you have any feedback on the calendar? Let's see. Agenda says. Too many tabs.
Hi, Lily. Thank you for having me. Yes, I
Hi. Okay, so agenda says committee updates. There are not a lot of the, oh, there are a few, one of them is an announcement. So the LCAP PAC will meet tomorrow. And we are going to talk again about this draft. We love talking about this draft. We are also, hopefully, we're very close to approving some bylaws, which would be pretty awesome if we had some bylaws. I would be into that. But I have to write some more words first. And so does Scott. So we're gonna try for some bylaws. And then also, we need to start recruiting for members of the LCAP PAC. So our parent and educational rights holders and etc. folks, we need to push out that application, which hopefully we'll approve tomorrow. So that we can push out that application in order to do some recruiting. The LCAP PAC has a two-year term, but we alternate and rotate around. So I'm not sure what slots are going to come open in the next, like for this year. But I do know that we need some fresh folks because our LCAP PAC chair is running for the school board and other people have students who are graduating. So it is a time of bring the moms and the dads and the parents and the caregivers to the LCAP PAC if possible. You know, if for those of us who enjoy reading and providing feedback as much as me, join me at the LCAP PAC. So we do have a meeting tomorrow. We also are planning a LCAP town hall for the 22nd to talk about all the things all of the things in the LCAP. So much stuff in there. Besides just goal 6, there's more stuff. So that will be on the 22nd at Franklin, is that right, Jasmine? Is that Franklin? Yes. Doing great. Awesome. So that will be also coming up. There was a roadmap advisory council meeting, which I did not attend. Anybody else there? Anybody here that was there? No. So there was one. My understanding is they had some conversations about clarity in the LCAP draft. What would make it make more sense for the people, and that they had a small enough group there that they did not progress through the entire package. There is another roadmap advisory council committee, whatever, meeting update on the 24th on Friday. So I'll go to that one because my classes ended last Friday. So now I'm just like doing finals and grading. I can go sit in meetings. So that will be also coming up in next week, because in May, there's a thing every single day, or at least one. Then there's 2 things and 3 things that are stacked on top of each other. Were there any other PUSD? I know there's a CAC meeting on Monday of next week. Is that true? Yes. There's a CAC meeting on Monday. That's their regular meeting. And are they electing a new executive? I feel like. I don't know. I don't remember once.
Yeah, that is correct.
That's on their agenda for Monday's meeting. Great. So if you want to go to the CAC, awesome. I have to go to a graduation, so cannot be there for that. Anybody else go to some fun committees? Okay, I think that's all of our adjacent committees for today. We are at announcements. So per our recently adopted meeting schedule, our next meeting will be August 13th, and I'll send this over to Family and Community Engagement so they can reserve me this exciting room to hang out in the summer. We'll turn on the air conditioning for that. Anyone else have announcements? Community partners, you have a thing, Jeff?
Yeah,
You
so I
emailed
sent
to
you an email, but I'll just let you know, so.
Say some words.
Yeah, so we're running a needs assessment with the goal of identifying how we can support parents who have transgender or gender non-conforming children, because transgender children are disproportionately represented in foster care. And so the goal is to identify what types of resources parents need before there is problems in the household, which leads to children being rejected and put into foster care.
Okay.
So we are, in order to do the needs assessment, I am looking for caregivers of transgender or non-binary youth, young adults up to the age of 25 that are transgender or gender non-conforming, and also a foster caregivers who have experience with LGBTQ youth. Does not necessarily have to be gender non-conforming, but
Okay, cool.
and so looking to get this group together to help us identify what kind of questions to ask and how to investigate what the needs are. It'll be starting next month and going through October. It is paid. We're paying $48 an hour and looking at probably about 5 hours work a month, all remote. So, and it will be involving technology, but I don't want that to be a barrier. So if they need a laptop, provide a laptop. If coaching on how to use Google Docs, we'll do that. So, so yeah, if you can help spread the word, it's also on our website, posted under work with us. So
Okay. I can also post that on some of the Facebook groups if you're looking for caregivers. So
awesome.
I can.
And yeah, we've got
share that.
a Facebook
like a-
post, I think, going up tonight
Okay.
also.
Okay, so I could share that
So please do.
into the foster parenting groups, because I know in one of the big ones is Fostering Unity, and frequently, those are the kids that are hard enough to place that they get posted on. And then they misgender them in the posts, and you're just like, buddy, you did, that's close, but not it. You didn't get it quite.
So yeah, this will be the first. It's going to be a long process. We are working with Planned Parenthood on helping identify training workshops, stuff like that. But it's
I'm trying to remember, I might be able to find some documentation from it. There was an organization that works with families around acceptance that was at one of the transition to adulthood convenings or whatever, that one that I've kind of linked in some of my stuff in the last couple of months. It's on the 30th. The last one that I went to last year, there was an organization that does that work specifically with their families of origin.
okay.
So I wanna try and pull that out of my brain and share
Yeah.
their work
Whatever
with you,
you
because I think that could be helpful
That
too.
would be awesome.
And then the other place that I would point you is Bithia's Family Services out in Pomona. They have a support group for caregivers of LGBTQIA youth that meets once a month, so they may also have some good connections and resources there.
Excellent.
Those are the ones off the top of my head, but I will think of more and then I'll send you emails.
Thank you. Yeah, this is open to anybody who works or lives in Los Angeles County. We are
Okay.
focused primarily in the San Gabriel Valley
Yep.
area, but
Great,
it's not
sure,
strictly POC.
Okay.
It is.
cool,
Excellent.
great. Awesome.
And then other than that, a couple of the partner organizations we're working with, we've been working with Vanessa at 5 Acres to get some programming into the youth that are at 5 Acres over the summer, and hopefully build a relationship so we can do this on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, keep me in the loop on that stuff, cause I can also do some of that, especially in the summer. I have some time being a teacher and all.
Oh, excellent.
I don't have summer school, you
Congratulations.
say. I said, no. They're like, do you wanna teach the history of like, the period styles online in the summer? I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm good. Do you have something, Ruth Ann?
Yeah, to tag along with what Jeff was inquiring about, there are several church groups. Holy Family in South Pasadena does an LGBTQ on Tuesdays. Don Poney is the contact at Holy Family. St. Dominic's and Eagle Rock, I don't know if that's Pasadena Unified, but and then Pasadena Baptist. And Altadena, for announcements, June the 6th is having an Altadena Pride, the whole community, their second annual. It was pretty amazing last year. And Nick Ehrenstein, I believe, is the coordinator of that. But it's a whole new world, and you know, transgender is just, you know, a subculture again that needs to be addressed because of, you know, the mental health and just, you know, the fact that they're loving children and they need to know that. So thank you, Jeff, for all that you do for that.
Absolutely.
Any other announcements? We done? We did it? We did it! The end, 23-24. On to graduation.
Thank you
Awesome.
for all you do.
Lily,
Yes,
we will be
thank you for-
making,
Lily, are you seeing my
Yes,
hand
Judy.
up? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just want to bring to your attention, in the local plan, the proposed draft for 24-25 plus the previous two local plans for special education governance and administration, they talk about a district liaison for foster youth.
Mhm.
It seems to me that that's something that this committee needs to be pushing big time.
Okay.
That there be a designated foster youth person. That could be Mr. Stanley, I suppose. But somebody in the special ed department that handles foster youth from beginning to ending, I think is critically important. So that has been in the last three plans. I don't remember that conversation actually coming up at a CAC meeting or anyplace else,
Okay.
but it is proposed. It's the
It's part of
language
this,
is, huh?
it's part of the SELPA plan? Is
Yes.
that- Got
Yes.
it. Okay.
Okay.
So I
Now-
can raise that question.
Okay, the other issue that I think is critically important that the local plan actually has quite a bit of information on is the uniform complaint procedure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that also needs to be part of the LCAP pack. Where
Okay.
when you go to the website for the district and those icons come up, I think the uniform complaint procedure should be one of those icons because it is crazy to try to get to that information. And the families of foster youth and special ed kids, it should be extremely accessible and probably indicating that it's in Spanish and English. So on that row of icons, in my opinion, needs to be the uniform complaint procedure. Other school districts have that prominently listed, and I spent quite a bit of time the other day looking at
Just trying to find it.
get to ours, and it's there, but it is not something that a parent who, a Spanish speaking parent or a
Right,
special ed parent or a foster parent is going to be able to find easily.
okay,
So I will bring that up
Okay.
at LCAP tomorrow night.
okay, thank you, Judy. And then Letty what did you drop into the chat?
I received a flyer from Pasadena DCFS. So they're
Okay.
hosting, they're hosting a resource parent appreciation event. So they
Okay.
caregivers can go ahead and register for that.
Great, thank you. I'll add that to the resources that we share out after the meeting, because I don't have any way of, I've not received that in any other avenue yet, so that's good to know. Although I may not count anymore. They had to pause my license. I don't have any space. The home is full. They had to pause my license, but that's okay. I'm sure they'll still let me go. Cool. Thank you. Anything else?
Could I say one more thing, Jeff? Please include the uniform complaint procedure on your list of things to take a look at. Because that's also where, and Jeff, I think you were on the safety committee when Planned Parenthood brought the group of kids. Were you there that were looking at districts in San Gabriel Valley to see how the complaint procedures worked in districts? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so it needs to be prominently, we need to be talking about it, because basically at this point, it's useless. And no kid that's a 15-year-old kid that's getting bullied or something is going to be able to locate that uniform complaint procedure.
Right, yeah.
Thank you, Judy.
Yes.
Anything else? Gavel, gavel. All right, thank you guys so much for being here. If I don't see you at some point in the next 2 weeks, then I'll see you in the fall. But with the number of agenda events in the next couple of weeks, I'll probably see you at some of them. Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, I'm gonna pause, let's stop the Zoom. Stop zooming Zoom.